Paso Road?
Line 6 was that way.
Yeah, and then there's a Line 6 south turning right, I think, up here.
Oh, no, it's not there.
Monarch Farm.
Buddy, it's a good thing we didn't do the gumball together.
I know. It's the camera. The minute you put a camera in front of me, I get confused. I don't know what to do with my hands.
One of one.
Welcome to episode 1. Today we're heading out to Oro Station, which is just north of Toronto, and we are going to go see Geoff Campbell. Ran with us pretty much the entire way from Toronto all the way to Miami with his 1967 Mustang. So we're going up to go see Geoff because he is developing a place called Oro Station Race Circuit, which has been his baby for probably a good many years. But I'm excited to see where the track is at, and I just miss Geoff. What are these ruins here?
That was an old barn foundation, which I told the guys I wanted to keep for as long as we could. They told me the other day it's in the way. It's about to come down.
It's like Stonehenge.
Exactly. We're on the start through straight here.
Okay.
And on our right is the pit lane and the event building. And this event building is this big thing here. So facing the paddock, it's got this 3-story gable end, but on the track side, it's 3 stories of glass. When you walk into the building, you can see pit lane. So when you come in the front doors of the event center, cars are going by you on a pit lane on the glass on the other side on curtain walls. Yeah, you can imagine like being on a race day. You can be inside the building and watching cars in the pit lane.
Yeah.
This is actually very fun to do. This here's the other end of the campus, sense of what that whole village area looks like. So there's 500,000 square feet in there. This was corner 2. This is actually going to be a 5-degree positive camber corner. So when you make this turn, your car's tipped. You come out of the corner, the track opens with your steering. And now you're looking down our main straight. So corner 3 is all the way out there at the trees. The way this works is when you come out of that corner, the ground here is going to rise, I think it's 7 to 8 feet to where these pipes are.
Yep.
And you'll notice as we start coming up to that crest, you can't really see the elevation change. When you're like, people look at the property like, oh, it's flat. But as you're driving, you're looking into a little gully up there. One thing that's really unique with the layout of this thing is that most tracks have a huge infield that needs tunnels or bridges to get to.
Yeah.
But in our case, the track's lapped back onto itself everywhere. So wherever you are watching this track, you see cars going in 2 directions. This sort of on this side of the forest, this is the club area, and the other side is the campus.
Yeah.
And so out here, you've got 21 individual barns. It's like buying a boathouse in Muskoka. So these guys have 2,800 square feet on the ground floor for car storage and 1,100 square foot listening above. You've got your traditional automotive suppliers. Mm-hmm. So that's your oil change, your tire shop, your car detailing.
Right.
You've got your performance suppliers, which we group in classic car restorers, race team, engine builders, suspension component shops, things like that, and prototyping. Then you've got your innovation companies, hydrogen, EV, autonomous, new technology development.
Yep.
And then education, being Georgian College is the main provider of that, having your own campus building there.
Okay.
And then from there, it's everything that's auxiliary or accessory. An auxiliary accessory consists of restaurant, cafe, museum, art gallery. So there'll be an art gallery that focuses on automotive. So when you see stuff like people buying engine tables, we'll actually create a physical art gallery for that. This here, we just came around corner 4.
What's the total length?
4 kilometers.
Okay.
3.986, I think, in the one format and 4.1 in the other. So this here is corner 5. And right here on your right, this is where the members clubhouse goes. So we have taken all of this and scraped it up to there. And now, on Monday, they start what's called cut fill. So now what they're going to start doing is cutting and filling the areas of the track. So as an example, corner 8 down here needs to be built up, whereas corner 3 needs to be dropped down. And so they start to actually shape all of this, and in about a month's time, we'll be able to drive this section of the track with it staked, and you can actually feel the curves and the undulations.
What is like the foundational prep for this so it doesn't sink?
Well, so the first thing we did was we took off all of the topsoil, because topsoil is like a sticky glue-like material that's not good for building on. Now that puts us down to virgin material. And so this here, they test for the compaction underneath it. So like an example, over here on your right, you can see how it's kind of soft in there.
Yes.
That'll get dug out and it'll get new material put in and compacted down and then built up from there.
Okay.
And ultimately, the track itself sits on 3 feet of gravel that's above this. So the actual finished track elevation is 3 feet higher than where we are now. That gravel, we do it not just the width of the track, we actually over it. So we put the gravel out a few feet on either side.
Yeah.
Because the point of it is that, one, it provides this like solid foundation underneath it of compacted gravel, but it also provides drainage. And then this is where they come out onto corner 9, is right here, sort of where this gray pile is. But you kind of come in actually more into the pile. But it's a hard braking zone here after you come out of those S's.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're turning right, and we're going into the inside straight. So this is an example where I was talking about how everywhere on the track folds back on itself.
Yeah. Right, because you have that part coming in.
Yeah, so when you come out onto this inside straight, you're running down here, right through the right edge of that pile, and you can see corner 10 beyond it, little paths.
Right.
But when you are running flat out here, you're watching cars on the left side of those black pipes coming flat out, absolutely screaming down the main street.
Right.
So you get this impact of going against traffic.
That's not done often, though.
No, it's not. It's pretty rare. It's almost like jousting. You come down flat with your car, and it's like, whose crack of the exhaust can outdo the guy next to them? So this is now at corner 10. This thing is going to be one of the most intense sections of the track, because you can come out of that corner, and depending on what you're driving, like in the sim, I take this corner at 140. It's quite a sweep that you've got to hang on to your speed, but you're sort of setting your speed at the start of the corner.
Yeah.
And then you got to hold the line. Here is where I would, in the sim anyway, tap the brakes to set the car up.
Yeah.
But this is corner 11 here.
Just doing these sections, you're talking, this is like, each section is 3-4 months. So you're getting locally crushed granite, probably.
So when the gravel comes in, we've got gravel pits 7 kilometers to our north.
Yeah.
And they'll end up running transport trucks with bottom feeders in here. And when we get to that point, you'll see those bottom feeders coming in for months straight. So this year has been focusing on stuff like this. Take the topsoil off, get the track base prepped, cut, filled, graded, ready to go.
Right.
And that way, the next thing we do come the spring when the frost is on the ground is we dig in, we just trying to line the pipes, the drain basins, all the stuff that has to go underground gets dug in. Then we put out the gravel. Then we start to build things like barrier foundations and all the stuff that goes inside the track itself.
Mm-hmm.
And once that's done, first course of asphalt.
Okay.
So the hope is that by end of next year, we will either be ready for or laying first course of asphalt and then let it settle for the winter. And then in early 26, we come in to actually install barriers, fences, lights, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then do the final coursing of asphalt. So you get the Hercules comes in. When it comes in, you hear them in the airport. They come on the radio for a refuel stop, and they'll go, "This is Hercules. We need 9 pepperonis, 4 Hawaiians. Order pizzas from the airport." It's so good. But if you can imagine sitting on the deck, you see corner 3 out there in the distance, and cars run down here to corner 4 into this pile. If you're on the deck, they disappear into view. They come around 4, and they come right back up in front of you. And this is corner 5 in front of you.
Yeah.
So suddenly they disappear from view, and then they wrap around the deck right in front of you, and now you can see up the S's. So these S's, where I was telling you, so you got 5, 6, 7, and you can't see 8 out there behind the trees.
Mm-hmm.
They go up and down 6 to 8 feet per apex. So this is a ribbon. So cars will come around, and you're watching them dance as they go up and out of sight and back around. But this is what you're looking at from the clubhouse.
This is amazing.
drive by. This guy's got a great Nova sitting out front of his driveway. So he is unequivocally supportive of the project. So where we're passing right now, this is the Trans-Canada pipeline. But they actually have weight sensors on the pipe. If you were to drive a piece of farm equipment out there and park it, in 10 minutes a helicopter will be over top of you. Yeah, it's kind of cool. They've got the whole thing monitored and censored all the way across the country. It's really hard to find a place where you can build something. Like typically they're so far away from populations in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But in our case, we're only an hour from the city. But we've got the benefit of being right there with the airport, the highways, Trans-Canada pipeline. All these things mean that we're in like this little bubble.
Have you taken the gray one out?
Yeah. So I had, at the end of 2022, I had a bit of a wipeout on track with it.
Okay.
I was fine, but I damaged some stuff underneath the car.
Oh.
So it got fixed by about mid-23.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had it out at Drive for Smiles at Cayuga. It was with the Starlight Foundation.
Yeah.
So it was an incredible day. Getting all these kids out on track for a chance to like go out in these cool cars.
Yeah.
I was once again definitely the oldest car there.
Did you see the last, the Singapore to Saigon one? The guy had the dually truck.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, the rolls.
Yeah. That's...
The second I saw it, I thought of you. It looks like something Sarkis would be driving.
Yeah, it's not far off, man. You know what it was like.
Yeah, take it for what it is. I mean, we rebuilt our entire drive line between Toronto and Miami. Growing up watching the movies and stuff, that was part of the fun of it. Charm, right? For sure. Like rebuilding your cars like to survive the rally. So to me, it felt authentic in that respect.
It was.
So like you driving this thing, it's just like the movies. I was watching the videos and sort of pining to be back out doing the gumball again.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Would you do the same car?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like especially the idea of like taking it in Europe, showing up with my piece of American muscle. Since the gumball, we learned a lot. That car's been set up quite a bit better now.
Yeah.
So now, like, we're out on track. I had it out recently in a hill climb event, and a guy was driving a GT350 race car.
Okay.
Full specs, caged, harnesses, everything. And we did the hill climb together, and I took off on him. And he came up to me after, he goes, "What is in this car?" It's like the fact that you are on street tires and just ran away from a race car like it was nothing. It's running pretty strong now. Motorsport, I've had it down to 138 lap times. It was the equivalent of my lap times in the Porsche 944 that I used to race there, full spec caged on slicks. The fact that the car can run at race car pace on street tires is pretty cool. Real stable.
Yeah.
Like, I upped the brakes in it, so it's got the biggest brakes that can fit in that rim. And like the stopping power on it's incredible. Suspension's set up perfectly. The only next upgrade that maybe do is go to independent rear suspension. Because if we go to independent rear, it would really change. Like now you can set up the rear end of the car and it'll react differently. But right now it's still doing this with solid axle.
The original ratios?
So no, it's got, actually the ratios, I want to swap them. We went down for the gumball.
Okay.
And we put it into a 273. So the guy before us had 410 gearing, which would break your neck on a launch.
Yeah.
Great stoplight to stoplight. You'd never see a car accelerate so fast in your life. We stepped it all the way down to a 273 from gumball because it meant that when you got up into fifth and sixth gear, the car could really comfortably unwind and keep pace. But the reality is on a racetrack, you're never going to get up that high. So sort of better, like if I put in like a 355 gearing, it'll make the car accelerate a lot faster out of corners. Probably stay fourth to fifth if you're running a 355, but it'll just give it that extra torque at the bottom end.
Yeah,
honestly, because the car's got so much power. Currently, the 273, I don't take it out of third. So it'll take every corner at Motorsport in third.
Okay.
So it's amazing how you literally pull out of the track and in 5 minutes, you're suddenly in like these winding hill roads.
Yeah.
Like you look in Ontario, you can find a passionate group of car enthusiasts anywhere you turn. You just go to a Tim Hortons on Friday night. And this was not about making an exclusive club for the wealthy racers. It was about creating a hub that covered everybody in the community. You're going to see guys meeting up in Oro to take classic cars and drive to golf weekends. Ontario has such a huge automotive community and such a lack of circuits. And so we want to see this thing as being something that helps grow the other facilities as well. So we want to do a rally, a charity rally called the Trillium Cup. We start at Motorsport. You do 10 laps of Motorsport, and you drive out to Tremblant.
Oh.
And you do 10 laps of Tremblant, then you drive to Calabogie. And 10 laps of Calabogie, you drive through Algonquin Park, come back to Oro, and do 10 laps in Oro.
Okay.
And so you do a rally like that, and the charity piece of it is that it's your cumulative lap time for all 10.
Right.
So between, you're not doing high-speed driving, you're just highway driving, then you're recording your 10 laps in each thing. And the key is you got to make it to all 4 tracks, to make it through your 10 laps, and your cumulative time across all of them.
Ooh.
So it becomes a cool thing where, and I mean, I left out Shannonville in that, but we would have to drive right by Shannonville. When you have a venue like Oro, it just opens up all these possibilities to so many cool ideas. We've had members talking about the fact that we should have a karting team where we're bringing up young drivers. And the members that are at the Bexley Motor Club at Oro Station, they're now able to start doing scholarship programs and funding young kids into driving opportunities.
Yeah.
And so we sort of can cultivate our own homegrown racing drivers off the track by using our community that's there. The multitude of opportunities, whether it be cool events that we can do, gatherings, opportunities to grow the sport. You can see like a Team Oro going to Gumball with 10 cars together. An annual thing every year. 10 cars are being shipped off to Gumball, and it's the Oro contingent representing out there.
I'm in. I will represent you.
Done.
I wasn't sure if I should bring this. I was driving the other day, and then all of a sudden started to slow down in the middle of the road. I'm like, okay, what the hell? Pull over, just a fuse went.
But admit it, part of the fun. It's the adventure.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my dad used to tell me all the time, he's like, why do you drive classic cars? He's like, you need the reliability. Like, what happens if you miss a meeting or you don't get there? And I said, that's the whole point. Like, it's the adventure. The journey is, you don't know if you're going to arrive.
Yeah.
You don't drive classic cars to get where you're going. You drive classic cars to enjoy the journey going there.
Very true.
Yeah, right. 5 minutes away from the track. The number of roads through Oro Medonte like this, there's 60, 70 scenic spots like this of different variations of like coming over a ridge with a view out over a valley. These little like tucked in twisties through the trees.
It's really nice.
It's such a cool spot. So you can imagine like, somebody said like, oh, let's go for a cruise. You can do a 2-hour cruise without going more than 20 kilometers from the property.
There.
All right, for those of you watching, that's us testing Sarkis's mic with a sneeze spike and see what that does. I think we want to go right here and then left. There's a brewery here in Oro called Quails that when you pull in there on the weekend, there's 300 bicycles there. And it's so the same way I talk about Oro being this congregation point for the automotive community, Quails has become this cycling destination. They all go out and they go on these huge rides through these roads of Oro. And then they meet at Quails for their end of ride beer. Now they have this hub. They have this place that they all get to meet, congregate, and like go out on adventures with together. So you have this sort of secret pocket of beautiful, historic, like mountain roads, almost like across the hilltops of moraines that are great for cycling, motorcycles, classic cars.
How long have you been out here?
So not long. Like I grew up in Ballantrae, which is east of Aurora. But I moved back to Canada in 2017 to build a condo project in Aurelia. And that's when I started to learn all about this region and area. Like I'd always driven through here, played hockey up here, traveled through it, but never really been in it. And so 2017 was when I was really immersed in it. And like Aurelia, the city that's 10 minutes north of the track, was founded in the same year as Canada. But what a lot of people don't know is that place was the last city of the north. So in the era of the Carnegies and all the big industrial era, if you had a logging operation or mines up in Sudbury, your family stayed in Aurelia. So there are areas of that city that look like Rosedale. Like it's like coach houses with carriage houses out in the back. Big industrialists would come up and their family would be in Aurelia for the summer while they were off in the logging mines and camps doing whatever they did in the north. But that was where all the industry and trade came from. So if you go back, 120 years, Barrie was a trading post of 500 people where you stopped along your way to get to Aurelia. Aurelia in the late 1800s was 28,000 people. So it's like this time capsule of historic buildings. The Opera House there has been running since 1868. and it's this like beautiful, incredible opera house that's some of the best acoustics in the country. So we've watched like Jim Cuddy and Blue Rodeo in there, and like get these really, really cool concerts coming through town. And it's got like the old churches and like the cathedrals. Toronto's famous for the Path, the underground city.
Yes.
Orillia was one of the first places to have one. They had an underground path in the late 1800s, big enough for you to run a carriage through. So there was a time during the Prohibition era up there when the teetotalers were running Orillia. The mayor and council used to bring their booze into the opera house by horse and carriage underground. And then they had a council chambers up in the top floor of the opera house where they would go and drink for days. So there was a city below Orillia in the 1800s because they had so much snow back then.
Yeah.
They connected all the buildings together so that if you got into one building on the end of the block, you could walk through the doors all the way down. So it's like the first indoor shopping mall kind of concept. The buildings started getting connected by underground tunnels.
Still accessible?
In some spots. Young guys that did a documentary on underground Orillia going through the areas they could still find. But years ago, they put services down the main street, and when they did, they took up the tunnels that were there. But the main street had the biggest tunnel that ran up it. And so yeah, most of them are now gone and filled in, which is a real shame. A lot of cool history up there. But so I came back, I built a condo building there, where we designed it to look like 2 century factories that were connected by glass. So the highest compliment is that when people go by and see it, they all think like, what were these factories 100 years ago? They're built brand new, but they're all made to look like they're 200-year-old factories.
Wow. Okay.
And so my wife and I now live there with Finn, and but when I was back, that's how I ended up coming and finding Oro. Like, I was driving up and down the highway and I realized what a gem this property was and like how rare its zoning and legislation was.
Man, you've done an amazing job so far. It's crazy.
It's been a cool little journey.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit wild, like sort of just going through the steps and figuring it out as you go. Talk about entrepreneurship being jumping out of planes and building a parachute on the way down. Oro's a little bit like building the plane on the way up, and then you got to build the parachute after you jump. If you actually take a right here, I've been bad on directions with you today, so we're back at the highway. If you turn right here, this will, all right, then splitter.
Oh no, I'm good.
Quick, I don't have a mirror. Anything out the back of the car?
Nope, it's all good.
Yeah, so that whole like coming back to Canada to build that condo building, it was traversing to and from the city that introduced me to what is now the Oro site. I was building hotels, condos, resorts down there. Wow. And just between pandemic and, you know, Oro and now having a baby, we haven't spent much time down there. Yeah. We got married down there, but my wife is born and raised there. Okay. So we're still gonna end up there. Jack still talks about this car. My nephew, I come rolling into my Mustang. Yeah. I'm all excited. My nephew's gonna see my Mustang for the first time ever. Yeah. And he goes, he saw this thing and he's like, this is way cooler. I was like, thanks, Jack.
My kids won't ride in this.
No?
No, my son will, but like if I'm like, hey, I'll come pick you guys up from school, they're like, yeah, no. This is really embarrassing. It's too flashy.
Because of all the stickers?
Okay, I guess so, yeah. I'm like, fine, I'll take it off. And, you know, that's when when I was telling you, I took off one sticker. It was the Twitter one. Yeah. But there's a rust shape now of the bird. So I think when all of them come off, all the stickers will be there, but in the shape of rust.
Yeah. So the rust is under the sticker?
Yeah, it's where the sticker was.
Really?
Yeah. Because a lot of this is still primer.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, these stickers are really sticking well to the car. And I'm thinking, shit, that sucks.
It's kind of cool though, because if you take them off and you still see them in the rust, you'll get like a little bit of the ghost of the gumball.
That's right.
It won't be so flashy to the kids, but people who walk up, they'll see it. Like, there could be a period where it's kind of cool to see that.
For sure. I'm guessing it's the giant 101 on the side they don't want to get picked up with. But
well, I haven't brought myself to take 44 off. I took everything off the Mustang, but I left 44 on the door.
God, that was such a fun run.
Could you imagine rolling into Havana in this and the Mustang? They wouldn't even know. They would think the other cars were spaceships. But our cars were just after their Prohibition. VW's there?
Yeah.
They would have got those after the Prohibition.
Yeah.
But for American cars, there wouldn't have been any Mustangs there.
Nothing. Everything's 50s, right?
Yeah.
For their American.
So
yeah.
the Mustang would have been a supercar to them.
Right.
Something you understood, something you know, the lines.
Right. And it kind of worked out too because that hurricane hit.
Oh, no kidding.
We would have
destroyed all the cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been like lucky to get it up to a hilltop, keep it away from flooding. Like in terms of twisties, like this is a cool road, and this follows along what was the old train route. So just down maybe 500 yards from here, they've actually taken out the train tracks, and which some people said was a really bad idea, but I think it actually is what protected Aurelia. If they still had a train running into downtown Aurelia, it would have just taken a different turn in terms of how it was developed and how it was spun. By taking out the train tracks, that's what gave it the time capsule feel. And so that rail bed though is still there, and it's now a biking and walking trail. So you can go from downtown Barrie and get on the rail trail and just go across the train tracks all the way to Aurelia. I mean, just stuff like that. Like I've done it the one day where I took, I cheated. I took an EV bike. Yeah. But I left from Oro, went down, and jumped on the rail trail and ripped up to
all the way down.
And like the trail comes right out like by the condo. You just pass the road.
Line 6 was that way.
Yeah, and then there's a line 6 south turning right. I think up here.
Yeah, there it is. Oh no, it's not there.
On our farm.
Buddy, it's a good thing we didn't do the gumball together.
I know. It's the camera. The minute you put a camera in front of me, I get confused. I don't know what to do with my hands.
This is downtown?
This is downtown. This is Oro Station. So Oro Medonte is this amalgamation of like 14 townships. Okay. And the townships were these little hamlets like this. So, you know, we went through the one corner general store earlier. That was the old hamlet of Colson. This was Oro Station. Medonte was another. Moonstone, Warminster, Rugby. They all got joined together and turned into Oro Medonte. So when we were looking for a name for Oro Station, it was like, well, hang on. We're in what used to be the township of Oro Station. Right. Still Oro Medonte. And we got the lake. Cool little Jag here. 4-door XJ. I've got the, that's a car I also said one day I'd love to take on the gumball. I've got 2 of the 2-door one, please. The XJCs. A lot of people don't know that William Lyons, when he retired from Jag, he took the short wheelbase version of the XJ and turned it into a 2-door pillarless coupe. They only made 3,000 of them. Huh? And they're really like obscure. Most people don't even know they exist. They were underpowered. They did make a 12-cylinder version that was epic, but it was heavy. And they're just, you don't see them very often. And so I ended up with 2 of them, but specifically to build a wide body race car out of one that was like the what was called the Broadspeed Big Cat. Okay. And the Broadspeed Big Cat was a Group 77 car that raced in 76 and 77. But this is like how close you are to the lake. Beautiful. Right? So, I mean, if you want, we could go this way and just go up to line 9 and then cross the highway again. Sure, okay. I don't know. How are you doing on time? What? Yeah. The car's still running. Perfect. This is literally like a coastal view out here. Yeah, this is a little gem. I don't know if we should be talking about it. No. I mean, people are bound to find out. The idea, though, is that we all just keep protecting it, right? Its character. That was one of the things when we went to design Oro. People were like, oh, you know, what do you want the buildings to look like? And I'm the son of the architect. I know the value of good design and what it means to the future of a property. So instantly we said, it has to be barns. It has to look like it's always part of this township. Yeah. We're out in the field areas, like where all the agricultural fields are. So we build it all to look like barns so it fits in. Oh, this is a hard left. So this is like one of the launch points out here. You bring your boat up, drop it down. So you can walk in this like waist deep and lower shallow water. And there's a family just bought the old pub and turned it into an Italian restaurant. And it's apparently really good. Just come out of this corner and suddenly there's this like beautiful little spot. An 8 Mile Point, it's got cottage properties all around it. Some people live on it full time. You know what I like about these cameras is I'm going to actually remember everything you said now. I can watch it back and be like, oh yeah, 8 Mile Point. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not running the gumball. And somebody wants to jump inside of your car live. And actually, when you're streaming, you have that capability. You can do that on the track too. Really? I mean, we'd love to have this stuff. Like we are doing. Like, what's the film quality? 1080p 60. So in terms of with Oro, so we designed the whole track with an IntelliTrack system around it. So we've got CCTV cameras all around the circuit. Yeah. And the point of them is they're there for safety. right?
Yeah.
So we can hook them up into a broadcast feed, but they're not really like your broadcast quality style cameras, nor are they your typical broadcast angle, right? It's like literally security camera up on a post. It's monitoring for cars going off track or anything like that. So the camera system that's there is set up to be able to do broadcast, but we want to then put our own cameras into that network that are broadcast angle and quality, so that we can have fixed points around the track that are broadcast. The idea being is like literally somebody shows up and they're like, hey, like let's broadcast, like we're doing a Porsche experience thing. Can we broadcast and record it like a roller coaster? It's like, yeah, here, that's the closed loop circuit. We can record it for you. Your clients can buy it. Yeah. Or we got guys that are coming out here. We're doing some training today. Instead of just having like a coach sitting in the car, you can tell a driver like, look, you were late on that apex, and here it is from 3 camera angles.
Yeah.
So they can see it and understand it
for sure.
From cutting in the car and out of the car to understand for driver training improvement. But then also, if somebody says like, look, we're going to do a Ferrari Challenge race this weekend, great. This button turns on all of our cameras to broadcast, and now we're live on YouTube.
For sure, yeah.
So we 100%, like with that, I would imagine we'd probably end up with 50, 60 of these cameras around property.
And even having it inside the car. So when somebody does want to do training, you can have one on your steering wheel, one on your feet.
Yeah.
And front and back.
Yeah. This is Burles Creek. That's the largest outdoor concert venue in Canada. So every year they do Boots and Hearts, which is the big country music festival. But that is a 520-acre concert venue.
Good size.
So that was your taste of Oro.
That was awesome.
We got the water, we got the hills, we got the track, and now this is us coming back up to the track. So this is the start of the campus.
Okay.
Right? Campus is all out here. Obviously runway on the left. And then now, I don't know if you can see it because we're so low in this car. This is where we're starting to see all the hills of dirt that we were driving on earlier on the right.
Right.
Yeah,
when's your estimated finish date for this?
So we're looking at the track being done for 26.
Yeah.
Building wise, the first 200 acres will probably be till about 2029, 2030 for build out.
Okay.
But honestly, like now that we're talking about buying up all these other farms around it, it's like, when does it end? I don't know. Welcome back to our little bungalow.
Very good, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Well, that was the final part of episode 1. It was really great talking to Jeff. Until next time, see ya.